Let's create a pivotal impact. Hey everyone, Josh Hannaberry here, your host of the Truck Focus podcast, and super grateful that you've come back to check out another recap episode where we're all about creating a pivotal impact in the lives of others in the transportation industry. First off, a huge shout out just to all of the leaders that really stepped up in the month of April, showcased their talents, and created so much value on the podcast this last month. I'm just super grateful. And for those that are, maybe this is the first time you've ever checked out the Truck Focus podcast, first off, welcome to our community, as well as a huge shout out to our dedicated listeners. I'm just super grateful that you're taking the time to listen and to learn. And each month I do a recap episode of basically a couple things. So first, I like to spotlight the industry leaders that really did step up, showcase what they have going on, how they're creating an impact in our industry. That's really important to me, as well as I really want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Pioneer Safety Solutions. The team at Pioneer, honestly, just a really good group of people. They have combined, it was just over 150 years of industry knowledge, which if you think of the big picture, it's incredible to think of the impact that people can have from the Team Pioneers perspective to industry when you've been there, you've done that, but you're still hungry to learn. Like, they're just a group of professionals that I have a world of respect for. And it's just awesome to watch as they just navigate through our industries. So transportation, logistics, environmental, oil and gas, tons of great stuff. And from providing consulting services, training services, to telematics and dash cams, temperature control, they just offer so much value. And I really admire the ownership team. I really admire just all the people that are involved. So huge shout out to them. And to me, that's one of the best parts of these recap episodes is I can get a little braggy per se. People that I really value and respect, I like bragging about. I like creating a huge spotlight, the best that I can. So that way, they are seen, they are visible, they are heard. So huge shout out to Pioneer, huge shout out to all of our industry leaders that really stepped up this month, like I've said. And I'm just super excited to get through another month episode recap. Can't believe April is done already by the time obviously this went live. And it's just phenomenal to me when you think of the fact that we're obviously approaching May and we're entering Q2. So for a lot of businesses, it's an exciting time of year. It's a year where projects are in full force, where you're really optimistic about forecasting. And for those that are maybe entering the transportation industry with no snow on the ground, or is not as much snow on the ground, that's a win in my personal opinion. And just, there's so many positives for May that I'm just super excited. So again, welcome, super jacked. So our mission here at the Truck Focus podcast, I like to keep it simple. And we talk about introducing industry leaders to industry to create a pivotal change. So what I mean by that is I really enjoy and admire people's space where they're a heck of a lot smarter than I am, and they can teach me something. And through our conversations, we're empowering industry. And when I say a pivotal impact and with the help of an industry leader, what I mean is when you're at a crossroads and you need to make a decision for the better of your business, the better of your life, if it's changing a habit, if it's implementing a process so that way you're in compliance with legislation, I like relying on industry leaders that I can trust. And then that way, when I'm at this crossroad and I need to say, okay, what needs to be in this policy? Does it need to be a template? Does it need to be custom built? Is there specifics? All that good stuff. The industry leader comes in and boom, they share the right advice. All of a sudden, yes, we implemented the right policy. We're doing the right procedural steps or whatever it is. That advice was the right decision, and it made me go forward. It advanced my journey. That's a pivotal impact, and I think that's huge. And I think if you reflect on your own journey right now, and if you think about all the people that have helped you get to where you are today, the amount of times you've experienced pivotal impacts, I bet you don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times people have really helped you. So that's part of our mission. The other part of it, I kind of identified as intentionality, where I want people to be intentional with how they interact with others in our industry. Because I think if we as an industry collectively really focus on how we're impacting people, and the fact that professional drivers, for example, what you do really does matter, and the impact that you're having because you're intentionally doing the right things each and every day, it is so cool when you see the reach and the domino effect of the stuff that you're doing. So again, we're all about intentionality, but we're all about creating an impact. So again, super grateful. And yeah, I'm excited just to go through the industry leaders. So we'll start off. Episode 98 was an incredible episode with my buddy Tim Dyck. So Tim is the founder of Best Culture Solutions. And Tim's backstory is super fascinating because he actually spent time at Disney, and he spent time learning and training, and he was able to take a lot of that plus a lot of his experience throughout the years to really focus on valuing people and hiring the right people and training these people in such a way that they can excel in their positions, which ultimately make the machine just run that much better. People are that much more fulfilled. And he was able to take all of that and create his own business a handful of months ago, which I think is so cool. Highly recommend that you check them out. So it's just Best Culture Solutions. And of course, I've included the links in every episode. So how it will work, I'll backtrack a little bit. So how it works is we'll talk about each episode. Just click on that episode. All of the details for that episode are there. So when I say the link is there, that's what I'm referring to. So, but I highly recommend that you connect with Tim. Have a conversation with Tim and just listen to how he really values and understands people. Honestly, to me, it's one of the best conversations that I feel I can have when I can tell that person is processing what I'm saying and sharing accurate advice that's creating an impact in my life. So again, huge shout out to Tim. Thank you so much for hopping on. And yeah, I'm grateful, man. It was good. So episode 99 was a super great episode for my own journey because I had Sir Rick and Road Safe Dave. So they're the hosts of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And these gentlemen joined me I won't lie, I had a great time. I was laughing. They're so funny, and they're able to use knowledge and humor to empower safety. So BCB Live, it's a station down, well, we're down for us because we're up here in Northern Canada. But so they have a daily show and they interview there are all types of people, different professionals, but they are making safety something that's lived and it's part of a culture, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And they just do it they're super knowledgeable, which I think is the best part. But they understand how to add humor into their conversations and how to add encouragement to their conversations. So throughout our conversation in episode 99, we were able to really talk about their mission and the fact that they are changing the way people view safety, professional drivers view safety, no load is worth your life, and just all of these components into a great conversation. So again, episode 99, huge shout out to them. It was awesome. Episode 100, honestly, for Avery, my son, and I. So for those that aren't aware of Avery quite yet, you just need to go check out a Youthful Take on Transportation episode. It's a series that we do that is all about industry leaders educating Avery so that way he feels empowered and he has common knowledge and language that he can use when he's hanging out with his buddies and people are just, playing sports, having a good time. He, at certain moments, just has the ability to then teach about our industry and to teach opportunities in industry because, again, we need the youth to start thinking, I want to enter the transportation industry. So episode 100, though, for us was just absolutely incredible. It was a major milestone for our journey. And part of that, honestly, is because when we started, we thought we'd have 12 in a year, so one a month. And we surpassed the year back in February, technically. To know that we were able to accomplish that was phenomenal. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for all of our industry leaders. I'm super grateful for just all of our listeners and the community that we are slowly but surely building. It's just all of it's phenomenal. And of course, to our sponsors, it's just believing in our dream is phenomenal. So check out episode 100, where Avery and I really talk about what it took for us to get to episode 100, what I guess some highlights are from our journey and things that we really believe matter. But again, episode 100, and I'm just so proud of Avery. This as my son and as my co-star, I'm just like, man, life's good. We're blessed. So anyway, super awesome. Thank you so much again, buddy. And well done. Episode 101 was also a great conversation. So Dallas Duncan. So Dallas, shout out to you, my man. You're an inspiration to me. So I really admire when someone is an industry leader, but they have the knowledge and the confidence to speak passionately about what's right. And I believe Dallas does a phenomenal job speaking about what is right. So we're talking driver training. He is the director of business development with the team at Pioneer Safety Solutions, which is also phenomenal. So again, shout out to them. And yeah, it was just, I felt really fulfilled with this conversation because of the fact that, like I said, he's so passionate about training, but he's passionate about the why. And through our conversation, he shares why that is. He shares why Dallas is so passionate about training the why, and the fact that we're impacting people and he's impacting professional drivers. And it's really cool just to see his perspectives and to hear it. And I'm just super grateful for that conversation. And I'm just really encouraged too. Like, I think his journey is just, honestly, it's just beginning. When you think about how far driver training still has to go. And when you have someone as passionate to advocate for driver training as Dallas is, and you know how far it needs to go. And maybe that's not from a driver training perspective, but maybe that is from the carrier's implementation of training perspective. And again, we can go through lots of different stuff, but I think Dallas is just going to have a huge impact in that. And I'm just super grateful that he took time to, join me on the podcast. So again, shout out to Dallas. Great conversation. And I just really value our friendship. And again, shout out to Team Pioneer Safety Solutions. Just super grateful. All right. So episode 102. So I like to look at our industry basically in, if you can call them, perspective buckets. So we have professional drivers, we have carriers, and then we have suppliers of industry. And I love celebrating all components of our industry by advocacy, talking with really good people. And episode 102 was a knockout for me, as I got to have a great conversation with Brent and Monique Ryan. And they're the owners of Bremit Carriers. Incredible people. And why I say that so, I say quick, but so passionately, is because of the fact that they really value people. So anytime someone values people and you're in a position of leadership over people, you have a different perspective than just the typical like tyrant hierarchy. And I talk often on empathy, and I think Brent and Monique, they are just absolute legends in this space because they honor people, they honor the professions, they honor their professional drivers. And Bremit Carriers to me is a standout carrier, and that's from their their culture within the organization, but also the equipment. And those that know me know I'm a huge international fan, and I'm super grateful that they have internationals in their fleet, and they're running Super Bs with curtains. Oh, it just looks so good. I highly recommend that you check out episode 102. If you're in a position, maybe you work for a carrier, maybe you are a carrier, and you're like, how can I impact the people of my organization better? How can I have a more higher retention? And people are thinking for the long term. Follow Brent Monique's advice and listen to the episode. Listen to how they really value their team. And their 4 pillars of success is just so awesome. And I'm super grateful that they were able to hop on. So thank you so much. Episode 103, it was actually another youthful take on transportation series, which was phenomenal. So Avery did a great job interviewing. His name is Alan Wintermute, and he's a retired inspector out from Ontario. So with MTO, CVSA, I have a world of respect for Alan. And his book is just awesome. So it's Insights from Inside. Insights from Inside is Alan's book. But I really admire law enforcement for multiple reasons. And to me, the biggest one is when law enforcement has such a specialty when we're thinking about the knowledge it takes to understand and enforce the law. And I don't like getting pulled over and getting a ticket. So I'm not going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about, though, is when you're in an environment where you're trying and you need help, and you're trying to follow the law, you're trying to build programs around what the law actually says, so that way your fleet is safe, your people feel confident that they can roll over a scale. and they can feel safe and they feel empowered, you need SMEs, you need subject matter experts, and law enforcement are some of the best SMEs literally in our industry. So what I really admire about Alan, though, is he's able to take that knowledge in written form, in training form, and in conversations and really empower people with accurate knowledge. So to me, that's huge. So when him and Avery, my 12-year-old, were having a conversation, I was sitting there watching Avery and I'm like, dude, keep it. You're crushing it. But also just the fact that he was really interested to what Alan had to say. And he was really engaged with how the conversation went. Like, it was phenomenal. And just, yeah, it was really informative. They did a really great job. I was literally blown away. So episode 103, I highly recommend that you check it out. But at the same time, I included the link in that episode. I highly recommend that you purchase a copy of Alan's book, Insights from Inside, because I'm just over about three-quarters of the way through, just over that mark. And great information, but I like the clarity and I like the fact that it's easy to read, easy to understand, while making sure that you actually get the importance of following the certain laws. Like, he did a great job writing it. So I do highly recommend that you take a moment to read that too. But first, you got to purchase it. So of course, that link is in that episode. Episode 105, a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, Eric Sherman, came back to the Truck Focus podcast, and super grateful for a number of reasons with Eric. First off, he's been a mentor of mine now for, I think, 3 or 4 years, quite heavily, very invested in my journey, which I admire and appreciate, and vice versa. But I really appreciate the fact that I like to ramble when I talk. I like to get excited and I start talking about all sorts of things to try and get to a point. And Eric can clearly hear me. He can process what I'm saying and he'll give it back to me in 3 or 4 words. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So that's one of the biggest things that I admire about Eric, because then I can be myself. And I think far too often when you're around people that you admire, you're around people that you consider a mentor, you don't feel like you can be yourself. You feel like you have to, like, I got to bring my A game every conversation. I got to be perfect. It's like, no, it's not about perfect, it's about progression. And Eric really brings that out in people. And he's a phenomenal consultant. He's a phenomenal educator. He's really great at, again, building courses and implementing just change management processes to really advance cultures. Like, again, that's just me rambling because I get jacked, but he's a great guy. And we had a really good conversation, and we were talking about a lot of things in regards to perspectives, opportunities, and impacts in our industry. So in the transportation industry. And part of that is training, but part of that is being mindful of the opportunities that are around us. Because I think a lot of times when you get busy, you just get like a tunnel vision. So if you can picture in your brain, if you were in an airplane and that feeling of just like that takeoff, so you're at whatever the altitude is, you know, the speed's there because you just got off the ground and you kind of feel sucked back into your seat. And all you're really focused on is exactly what's in front of you. That happens in life. And in our industry, when you're getting pulled in so many directions, which is very normal, I think it's easy for all of a sudden a year to go by and be like, oh, I didn't finish that course. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't apply for that. Well, again, we talk about the opportunities and perspectives and impacts in industry. So that way we take a moment to say, hey, what opportunities are around me right now? And that could be training. That could be going for, maybe you have your class 3 license here in Alberta, well, Western Canada, I guess, and you want to go for your class 1. Okay, what does it take? Or maybe it's going from a operations position to a safety position. Okay, what does that take? There's so many different things that we can do in our industry. So we really dive into that. But again, I just give a huge shout out to Eric. And again, a huge shout out to Team Pioneer. So Eric is the chief strategist with Pioneer Safety Solutions. I think it's phenomenal. So definitely check out that episode. And again, huge shout out to our sponsors at Pioneer Safety Solutions. So super grateful. Episode 106. So I have my buddy Jack, who is a creative director in actually the podcast space and in lots of things media related. And so Jack hops on and we really talk about just his journey. So the fact that he's got to work for some killer brands so far, I think is super cool. But his passion for making, part of it is from, I would say, an audio and a visual perspective. He likes creating excellence, but a lot of it too is about the experience. And when you're a creative director in this space, you spend a lot of time working on the finer details to create an ultimate experience. So he does a great job walking us through just the various technologies that are available and the different journeys that they did. And when they were at a massive truck show down in Vegas, all in all, it was a great conversation. It was super great. And I'm just super excited on Jack's journey as well, just for the fact that it's really encouraging as our world continues to adapt to technology, integrate technology, utilizing video and sound. You need to have that expert ability, and he definitely has that. So I thought that was super awesome. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Sometimes I talk too much. Just kidding. Episode 107 was so fun. So it's just so fun. So Missy Rickman is the mother trucker. And I had a great conversation with Missy about her book and about the fact that she is a professional driver. She's got a group of girls that they collaborate on so many things to really impact industry for recruiting, retention purposes, but ultimately have a great time. And I laughed. She's so funny. In her book, you have to check out. So my book is on its way here. So Mother Trucker, because it's never too late. And of course, I included the link to purchase a copy in the notes. But oh my goodness, I had such a fun conversation, and it was really cool for me. So I like seeing all sorts of advocacy. And when someone can advocate through written language, so through her book, because it's never too late means it's not too late to try. And it's true. And how many times in life do you think, I'm going to do this? Oh, I don't know. Almost instantly, you down talk what it is that you're going to do, and your excuses are greater than your reasons that day. And lo and behold, you don't do it. Well, Missy's all about throwing that out. Just, you know what? I'm not about that life. I'm about getting stuff done. I'm about creating change, creating impact. So I thought it was just a phenomenal conversation, and listening to her hit passion moments and getting jacked up. I thought it was so cool. But you laugh, and you're going to laugh when you listen to it. You're going to be like, oh my goodness, she's so funny. Go buy her book. Let's be serious. I'm just so jacked on just our relationship as friends and just the journey that she's on. I think it's really cool. So definitely go check out episode 107. And I'm just, again, thank you so much, Missy, for hopping on. Episode 108 was also a really good conversation. So I got to speak to a friend of mine, Andy Coy, who's the CEO and founder of My Trucker Pro. And I'm super grateful for My Trucker Pro. So before we talk about the conversation that Andy and I had, I wanted to really highlight My Trucker Pro, because it's a platform that they say it's so much more than a community platform. And you have all these social medias that are great. Obviously, we all use them. But when you're in transportation, especially if you're a smaller carrier, so if you're an owner operator, you got a couple of trucks, you're under 50, keep it at that. There's so many things that you need to know at all times. Things need to be working right. And if not, it can be costing you money. So it could be fuel burn, it could be insurance rates, it could be tickets, it could be violation, well, the same thing. Tons of things that could happen. And not to be on the negative side, just that's reality. There's things that could happen. You need to have your circle of just suppliers and partners that can really help you out. And that's exactly what My Trucker Pro is building. And the fact that there are multiple languages, you remove the barriers of communication. The fact that you can buy and sell on the platform, to me, is absolutely amazing. You can interact with people. It's just a phenomenal platform that is going places. I'm so excited to be involved. And yeah, through our conversation with Andy and I, we really talked about the mindset behind the platform, the mission of the platform, some of the upcoming features, and all in all, I'm just an advocate for it. So make sure you go to mytruckerpro.com. You can sign up for free. And they're just a great group of guys and gals that are making it happen, but they're serving real industry. And when I say real industry, it's because a majority of our industry is smaller based businesses. And I love the larger carriers and the larger logistics companies. I'm an advocate for them too, because they create so much value in our industry. But I'm equally, if not more, of an advocate for quote unquote the underdogs, the smaller carriers that are just trying to do the right things, trying to navigate the space. And then when people like the team at My Trucker Pro and Andy come around, I'm like, yes, thank you so much. That is such a need. So again, check out My Trucker Pro. The links, of course, are included. And yeah, I'm super grateful that Andy was able to take the time. Super busy guy, hopped on the podcast, we had a great conversation. It was awesome. And then episode 109, which was the final episode, I guess, besides the one that I'm recording right now, of April. And my buddy Bo Banner and Banner Wealth, so he's the owner and founder of Banner Wealth, joins the podcast. Man, that guy is incredible. And Bo's story is really phenomenal. So Bo, as a student athlete, and through our conversation, so he'll talk about the fact that he was a student athlete, and he'll talk about the fact that he gave it 100,000,000% to try and make things happen. And he made it happen because all of a sudden he's in the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League, the professional football league here in Canada. He crushes it in the CFL. And then from there, he's like, okay, now what? Okay, so he started Banner Wealth, and he is a money man. He's a financial advisor. He is helping people not just make money, but he's giving confidence, peace of mind, and creating an impact for people's financial futures. And right now in our global economy, things are up and down, and inflation this and inflation that. And what I really admire about Bo is he creates a mindset and a culture of peace. And we're in it for the long game. We're in it to win it. And he's just crushing it. So great conversation with Bo. Highly recommend that you check out bannerwealth.com. Make sure that you connect with Bo. He's just a really good guy. He really cares about people. He really cares about your success. And I think in a conversation with money, that's really important. So again, huge shout out to him. Super grateful that he took the time to come onto the podcast, but also to all of the industry leaders that have taken the time to come into the podcast. I'm just so grateful. And I think there's huge opportunities from an industry's perspective, but also with people to really celebrate when someone's like, yeah, Josh, I'll hop on. Yeah, we'll have a great conversation. Let's go help some people. I think that attitude is really cool. And I was just super grateful for the last month of the industry leaders that really stepped up and made it happen. To me, it's just so cool. And I'm super grateful. So as we enter May, so May is tomorrow when you're listening to this on April 30th. If you're to listen to this in May, that's super cool too. But we're in May. And well, tomorrow is May. I think it's super exciting to know who's coming to the podcast and who's coming back onto the podcast. So there's going to be really good conversations on communication and culture, on compliance, on real life events happening in industry. There's going to be some good conversations on a number of different topics. We're going to hit some technology spaces and just super jacked. So stay tuned for May. There's lots of good stuff coming up. And just, I'm super grateful. And before we leave, there's a couple things I did want to touch on. So first, when we're processing in industry, so we're processing our day-to-day, I really do encourage intentionality. I really do encourage, so you, the listener, which you're my friend, and I'm super grateful for you. And I really want you to consider, okay, when I'm living out my day and I'm interacting within industry, and if maybe you're a professional driver, I like going there first because I really value your profession, and you're going to a customer. My challenge is to really think, okay, how can I make this experience for the customer the best they've ever had? And then when I cross that scale, I want you to ask the same question. How can I make the best experience for the officers in that scale when I cross that scale? And then when you go and fuel your tractor up or your truck, depending on what you're driving, how can I make this the best experience for those around me? And dispatch challenges you too. You have a lot of responsibility. And when you're interacting with professional drivers and sales force or salespeople and your bosses, think about, okay, how can I not only impact the customer, but how can I create an impact in a positive way to all the carriers that I'm working with and the professional drivers that I'm working with in my operation? How can I do that? And I think if all of us really spent time being intentional on how we're interacting with people, big things will happen. And a lot of these problems that you could be reoccurring or you're facing and they're reoccurring, I bet you a lot of them could go away if you're intentional about what you're doing. You're not just reacting to the situation. So the difference between being proactive and reactive, and intentionality helps you be proactive because you're forward thinking. And I think if we really lived in that space for the month of May, as we navigate through hopefully no more snow, hopefully I'm not like jinxing or whatever, but really focus on that. I think some really big things can happen in the month of May. And that's my challenge for you this week. And I really want you to think about your legacy and the impact that you're having, because in June, I'm going to follow up. I'm going to say, hey, what was your impact? What legacy did you leave in the month of May? Because we all have that opportunity. Legacy is not when we're gone. Legacy is literally when you enter a room and you leave a room. How did you leave that room? That's legacy. That's intentionality. So let's make it happen. So again, if this is the first time you've ever checked out our Truck Focus podcast, I do really value your time, and I really want to welcome you to our community. And to all of our dedicated listeners, again, thank you so much for your investment of time. Thank you just for your encouragement. And I do ask that if you found value in today's episode, that you like it, you share it, you subscribe. So that way, again, you're notified of all upcoming episodes. We are diligently releasing at least one episode a week. And again, just any episode that I talked about with an industry leader today, simply go into the link, listen to it, engage with that industry leader, because they're great people. And I don't think they would be in this space if they weren't. So I can speak very confidently that everyone that comes on the podcast, they're great people. So thank you so much again. And as always, I just really hope you can create a pivotal impact. I believe in you. And yeah, hope